Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, she claims her ex held her hostage for 7 years.
Completely false.
I was totally dependent on him.
Being dependent on somebody doesn't mean that you're a prisoner.
He claims she's stalking him and his fiancée.
She said, I'm coming to get you.
They're both lying, and I'm not putting up with it.
Why are you calling his mother, outing him to family?
They all knew.
Well, I don't care if they knew or not. What are you doing telling them? Let's do it.
Not a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. This is interesting. Lori-Ann wrote to me several times in the past few months claiming that her ex, Michael, is a dangerous narcissist who held her hostage for 7 years. Now, she claims he has even convinced the police that he is the victim. Now, Lori-Ann says she has reached out to me for help because she believes that I am the one man on the planet who won't be fooled by her ex. But Michael says Lori-Ann is just a jealous ex-girlfriend who needs to move on with her life and stop stalking him and his new fiancée, Allison. Now, Lori-Ann says Michael preys on vulnerable women and is afraid that his fiancée, Allison, will soon be the same troubled victim that she is if she doesn't get out and get out now. Take a look.
I met Michael when I was looking for a temporary roommate online. When I looked into his eyes, they were very flat. And I thought to myself, this person needs someone to love him. It took a couple of weeks before it developed from roommates into a romance. He helped a lot financially. Eventually that money ran out. Michael and I would argue about money. He would harass me. He would go on tirades like this far from my face. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you ask me how controlling Michael is, 11. Michael held me hostage for 7 years. Michael has issues with me talking to anybody, especially if they're male. All of our friends were his friends. Michael kept his money, finances, and all that stuff separate from me. I had no money of my own. My specific role in that home was to take care of him and make sure that all of his needs were met. I was an emotional hostage. I couldn't have a life of my own. It's going on a year since Michael broke up with me, but he hasn't let go. He wanted me to be his roommate and business partner. He said it was platonic, but he still wanted to be intimate. One night, Michael came in really drunk and wanted sex. I didn't want to, but I knew I would end out in the yard. It was very rough. He choked me. He slapped me. The following morning when he wanted sex again, I refused. He was upset. He proceeded to throw all of my belongings out into the yard. A week later, I filed a restraining order and domestic violence charges against him. The restraining order was dismissed. Today, I am reaching out to the only man I know won't be fooled, Dr. Phil.
Okay, Lori-Ann, it's good to meet you.
Hello.
Sorry that you've been through the things that you're describing. So you said he held you hostage for 7 years.
Almost 7 years. Yeah.
And almost 7 years. And you have a lot of accusations against him, right?
Yes, I do.
Well, I made a list of what you said. You said, number one, he held you hostage.
Yes.
You said he also committed fraud, like on credit cards and PayPal.
Right.
Right? And that he stole your medical settlement money.
Yes, he did.
And that you have items and stories that he's withheld those from you. He is still withholding those from you.
Yes, sir.
He robbed your apartment.
Yes, sir.
Abusive, that he takes advantage of vulnerable women, and
Vulnerable
you consider
people.
yourself a vulnerable woman.
Yes.
And that he goes around and extorts closeted gay men. That he'll find someone that
That's lonely.
is gay, but hasn't come out. He'll connect with them and then threaten to out them if they don't pay money. How do you know that? Does he tell you about it?
I was there. I was active, sitting next to him when he would do this.
Were you part of the extortion?
Yeah. Yeah, I was. I didn't want to be, but
Well, why were you part of it if you didn't want to be part of it?
They used me basically to launder the payment, to avoid a gift tax.
And you say that you filed charges against him for domestic violence, fraud, and theft.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are those charges pending?
No.
What's happened?
The domestic violence and theft case got closed almost immediately. And as far as the fraud part, it's in another state, and I haven't heard back.
He says you're stalking him.
I want him to let me go. I want my belongings, and I want him to let me go.
Now, Michael says that if anybody was exploited, it was him. Take a look.
My ex-girlfriend, Lorianne, is stalking my fiance, Allison, and I. Lorianne has contacted my family, my fiance's family, in order to harass us, and it needs to stop. Lorianne has even went as far as to tell people that I've sexually abused her, held her hostage for 7 years. I flew her back to see her family every single year. If she was being held hostage, wouldn't she not come back to a hostage situation? My intimate relationship with Lorianne started the day that I moved in. When I first met Lorianne, we both drank quite a bit. I didn't realize it was a problem until about a week and a half later when I started to notice a pattern of anger. She was clean and sober until she decided to drink due to the fact that she found out I was gender fluid. Lorianne told me she's not attracted to me while I'm in drag. It wasn't until she started to call my friends and my family and post things on social media. At that point, I decided to end the relationship. 2 weeks after she told me she was homeless, I offered for Lorianne to come stay in my apartment as a platonic friendship. The next day, I had met Allison. Lorianne started to cry and said, I thought there was still something between us. I said, Lorianne, there is no hope for a relationship. The bottom line is, nobody held Lorianne hostage. Nobody raped Lorianne. The judge threw these matters out of court, but she keeps coming back.
Michael, I'm glad you're here. Did you hold this woman hostage for almost 7 years?
Dr. Phil, any allegations of that are completely false. I never held this woman hostage, not one day of her life.
I made a list of things that you said that run contrary to holding somebody hostage. According to Michael, she visited her family at Christmas, Las Vegas 2 times, offered her money, took her to concert, moved 9 times to 4 different states, once lived with your parents, who I think would notice, is your point, I suppose. There was no license, but would take the bus, be around other people, went to school, went to therapy, could have talked to a therapist, said that you actually saved her, and would send you text and say, miss you and love you. I actually looked up the definition, legal definition of hostage in your state. It says to seize, imprison, entice, detain, confine, or persuade another person to remain in any premise or any property during a violation of any provision of this section in order to seek concessions from law enforcement personnel or their representatives. Like, I got a hostage
So
in here, you come in here,
poor
you come
choice
in here,
of
I'm going to
words,
shoot
then.
this hostage.
Gotcha.
That's a hostage.
Poor choice of words on my part then. I was totally dependent on him. He had control over everything. Even
Well, being dependent on somebody doesn't mean that you're a prisoner.
it is when you're subjected to tirades day in and day out.
Is she stalking you?
Yes, Dr. Phil, she is stalking me.
She's saying she wants you to leave her alone, but you say she's stalking you. How is she stalking you?
So she has contacted family members of mine, family members of my current fiance, got in contact with the ex of my fiance's, informed them that I have AIDS and herpes, which is not true. There's no
Never said
facts
that.
to those statements. She's posted photos and information of us on social media, making allegations of robbery, of theft, of breaking and entering, making allegations of crimes that have never occurred. And I'd like for it to stop.
Well, Michael says he provided a nice life for Lorianne, taking her to Las Vegas, flying her home to see her family every Christmas. He says he even bought her luxury gifts, including jewelry and designer bags. So where are all of these gifts now? Well, we're going to find out when we come back.
Michael robbed me blind. He financially exploited me. He's going to extort the wrong person, and that person's going to kill him.
If I was blackmailing people, I'd have a lot more money than I have.
And later,
Get married. Just give me my stuff and get married.
you seem a bit hair-triggered here.
I am. All I want is my belongings, my money, and to move on my way.
Everything I own is in a storage unit in Washington. Michael won't let me have access to it.
First of all, there is no storage unit in Washington. That storage unit has been auctioned.
Storage unit's in Michael's name. I've been trying for the last almost year to get access to it. He refuses to give it to me.
The things that were in that storage unit that were hers were delivered to her directly. There was nothing in that unit that was still hers.
Wow.
Now, Michael's ex, Lori Ann, emailed me asking really for validation. She says Michael was emotionally abusing her for 7 years, but he's so manipulative that no one believes her. Now, Michael says the reason no one believes Lori Ann is because he just never took advantage of her in any way.
For the entirety of our relationship, Michael robbed me blind. He financially exploited me.
The idea that I was financially exploiting Lori Ann is ridiculous.
Michael extorted someone he knew well for $100,000.
Lori Ann is under the impression that a severance is the same thing as a scam. Obviously, she hasn't looked up the definition of severance in a dictionary.
It seemed to me that Michael purposely sought out closeted, lonely men, and Michael had threatened to out them if they didn't follow through with giving him money. He's going to extort the wrong person, and that person's going to hurt him or going to kill him.
If I was blackmailing people, I'd have a lot more money than I have.
Another time, Michael ran up close to $100,000 on a company credit card. Michael had promised that he would pay the $100,000 back using the medical settlement that was coming to me.
She agreed to pay $30,000 towards this debt because I had paid thousands and thousands of dollars of her debt up until that time.
Michael made me give him my money. I signed that money over under complete duress. The more I tried, the more he would come at me. I asked him if there was any way I could keep half of it. He looked at me and said, if you for us, I'm going to go on a shooting rampage.
If I'm so horrible and evil, why was she with me for 7 years?
Now, there were a lot of accusations flying back and forth here. Did you misappropriate a large sum of money from an employer?
No, doctor.
Did you steal her items from the apartment?
No. She was only at the apartment for 2 days, by the way. And when I originally kicked her out of the apartment, her items
She was only there for 2 days?
She was only there for 2 days.
Well, this is a list of what she said that was stolen. She was only there for 2 days?
Yeah.
Everything that
She
I
was there for 2
traveled
days.
with
All
was
of her
there.
items were left on the porch.
Who put it on the porch?
I put it on the porch, and well, I put it outside my door, and she drug it to the porch. And then I'm also...
No, the upstairs neighbor brought it out, Michael, after I called the police for a civil assist to help me.
I also know Dr.
I got
Phil that
everything
she did
in
have
that I
some
could and
belongings
left the
at
rest,
her
which you guys
family's
stole.
house.
What was in the storage building that was auctioned off?
Nothing of hers that I'm aware of, just a few sentimental things, which I mailed out to her family members as well in December.
Absolute lie. Absolute lie. You didn't mail anything to anybody, Michael. That is a lie. Sorry, sir.
Why?
It's a lie, sir, and I'm not, no.
Well,
You're a
we're going to
liar.
come back and find out what's going on here. Michael says his fiance says Lori Ann is stalking them, and they just want it to stop. But I'm going to find out about these belongings in this storage building. I'm getting curious.
Michael's ex is a total nightmare. She's manipulative, controlling, and a real psycho stalker. I've seen her texts, I've even heard her call, and she sounds totally crazy. Eventually her craziness made us move. A day later, she found us. She said, "I'm coming to get you."
And later,
What are you looking at me for?
I
Because you're
will
crazy.
believe you when it happens to you. No one else is gonna,
Actually,
but I
he's
will.
been fantastic.
That's
and
how
I
it started
will have
for me,
his
too.
back.
I first heard about Allison when Michael and I were living together platonically. He held up the phone and showed me a picture from one of the dating websites, and he said, "This is who I'm." Allison has no idea how dangerous he is. She believes what he's telling her because she's in love. Michael's definitely making me out to be the bad guy. I would like to tell her when he hurts her, and he will, when no one else is going to believe her, because he's convinced everyone else that she's the bad guy. I'll believe her. She doesn't know what she's gotten herself into. She has no idea.
Lori-Ann says that she filed domestic violence charges against her ex, Michael, but was ignored by the deputies. Michael says the police dismissed her claims because they're not true. Michael says Lori-Ann is just a jealous and resentful ex-girlfriend because he has moved on with his life. His new fiancée, Allison, says Lori-Ann has been nothing but trouble ever since she came into the picture.
That's right.
Let's hear from her.
I have a great relationship with Michael, but his ex is a total nightmare. She's manipulative, controlling, dishonest, and a real psycho stalker. She thinks I stole Michael from her. I didn't steal Michael from her. They were already broken up. The first day I met Michael, he told me they were completely done with each other, and I totally believe him. I'm totally aware of Lori-Ann's craziness. I've seen her texts, her emails. I've even heard her call, and she sounds totally crazy. One day last December was like a total tornado. She called Michael several times, called me. Then she texted my family members saying I stole stuff from her. She even posted lies on the internet, included our photos. Lori-Ann said, if you see these people, they're thieves. They've stolen from me. Lori-Ann even had people drive by taking pictures of us. She makes me nervous. The first time I ever saw Lori-Ann was in court. Lori-Ann eyeballed me in the worst stare ever, and then she called me Mama June. Eventually, her craziness made us move. A day later, she found us. I read on social media she was in the same city as us. She said, "I'm coming to get you," and that scared me. We went the next day and filed a restraining order against her. I'm tired of her stalking us. I need Lori-Ann to know Michael and I are happy. He loves me. He wants to marry me, and I want to marry him.
Just give me my stuff and get married. Get married. You can have him.
Allison, how are you?
You can't have my
I'm
stuff.
fantastic. How are you, Dr.
Thank
Phil?
you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What stuff is it you're referring to?
I have an entire storage unit full of belongings,
Well, but you say
furniture.
it's been auctioned off.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
According to Michael and Allison, they say that you have contacted Allison's family,
No,
and you've said that Michael has AIDS and herpes,
I never said that.
that you've called Michael's mom
that would be
and
saying I
threatened
have it
to.
too.
You've called and Michael's mom and threatened to show up.
I called Michael's mom and we discussed me coming to get my other belongings that were being stored there.
And y'all say that she's texted a family member and outed you,
Correct.
and that you've posted on social media that you are abusive, that guilty
do
of
that.
theft, that you've held her hostage, and put up private information about you.
Yes, Dr. Phil.
I did. I made some mistakes. I'm not watching IDTV doesn't make me a detective, so I made some mistakes. But I was desperate. I was trying to get some information so that I could move on.
You
and
say
try
that
to
she's
resolve
made
this.
false charges of rape,
Not a
emotional
single
abuse,
false
and
charge.
fraud.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Phil.
You say
Sorry,
that she's called you multiple times and
Yeah,
different
and
numbers.
It called me from my first number and said some mean
After
words.
you called me,
That was
and I
after
called you right back
No,
to let you know I had your number too, but I didn't do that to you.
Well, and then a second time
Sorry,
she got my
they're
number
both lying,
again.
and I'm not putting up with it.
You seem a bit hair-triggered here.
I am. I've been made out to be a liar and this crazy person when all I want is my belongings, my money, and to move on my way. That's
What
all I
money?
want.
Yeah.
All the money he took from me.
And those belongings are in the storage
Yes, they
unit
are.
that has been sold.
It has not been sold.
Yeah, it has.
Well, is Lori-Ann harassing Michael and Allison, or are they just taunting her? We're going to find out why police had to get involved when we come back.
Three days after court, Lori-Ann called me and really started cursing at me. These calls were happening at least once a week. We called the police because of this continuing harassment. The policeman came over and started questioning us on Lori-Ann's behavior. We showed him some of the emails and stuff that she had sent. He wanted me to call her back because he wanted to see how crazy she was. I called her back and she's like, "Oh, it's you, blah, blah, blah," and started calling me a bunch of obscene names again. The policeman said, "All right, I've heard enough, hang up." He said, "Yeah, you're right, she's nuts. Go ahead and block her number because there's nothing we can do."
Well, Allison, Michael's current fiancée, says that Lori-Ann is a psychostalker. But Lori-Ann says, not true. She just wants her belongings back because she claims her narcissist ex, Michael, and his new lover, Allison, robbed her blind. Michael says that's not true, and Lori-Ann is just jealous. Now, you say there have been no false allegations made, that everything you said is true.
Yes,
and
that's why I'm here.
And that even what you put up on the internet is true.
Yes.
So if you say that you're guilty of these things...
Let me take that back. The last thing I posted on Facebook, I said that they had left Colorado to evade prosecution. This was because I mistakenly thought that the cases were still open, and because he had said something to that fact, but I guess legally I wasn't allowed to do that. So yeah, that was a big mistake on my part.
Sir,
yeah,
we left because she wouldn't leave us alone. It was just
proof the phone call.
Too much. And so we were like, we just need to get out of here. She contacted him, then contacted me, then contacted his mother, all in the same day.
Yes, I did.
And then the next day, we tried to get a restraining order against her.
Right.
We did obtain.
On January 18th of 2018, you got an email from a detective that is addressed to Miss Lori-Ann. Please be very careful what you are posting on social media. I have a copy of a post from December 20th where you falsely stated that Mr. Michael and Ms. Allison are on the run from criminal charges in Colorado and Washington State.
Right.
You asked for people to screenshot and send any photos and or post of them to me and Sheriff by email, and then posted our email addresses. There are no, in capital, no, N-O, current warrants in either state. This is inappropriate on your part and has you walking a very thin line for criminal charges of harassment.
I've let things trigger me and behave badly, but I'm not lying.
Why did you auction off the storage unit?
I didn't auction off anything. I was unable to pay the bill.
How much of the bill?
It was approximately $350 at the time it was auctioned.
Well, we talked to him this morning. It hasn't been auctioned off.
Okay. I did receive an email that stated that I did deliver to your staff.
What are you looking at me for?
You and I don't even know each other. And I know you've got this attitude against me and you've got a preconceived notion, but you know what? I will believe you when it happens to you. No one else is gonna.
Actually, he's been fantastic. He's been a better person to me than I've had in my entire life.
That's how it
he's
started
there for
me too.
He's my family.
That's how it started for me too.
When you're calling his mother, his family, outing him to family, what's your goal?
I just want my stuff so that I can move on with my life. And
why are you calling his mother? Why are you telling his family that he is gay,
he had already told them all.
Bisexual, gender fluid, whatever?
They all knew.
But I don't care if they knew or not. What are you doing telling them? What is your objective? What is your objective?
Look, I'm angry. I am angry.
Okay, then own it. You're calling over there because you want to cause him grief.
I haven't called in months and months, and I'm so angry because he's getting away with it, because he does this to everybody. Everyone is afraid of him.
Sorry if I scare you, Dr. Phil.
You say you have stuff in that building. It hasn't been auctioned off. If you say you have things in that building, then she can get her stuff out of there, right?
I'm okay with her getting her stuff out of there if she believes she has stuff and she can show that it's her stuff and not my stuff.
You either want to cut this off or you don't. You can put all these provisions on this or not.
I do, and as long as it's safe, it's fine with me.
I mean, come on, hell, I'll pay the $350 if you'll just...
What happened to all your money?
Michael admits he feels guilty about his relationship with Lori-Ann, but why? If he's so innocent, my thoughts next. All I can do is tell you what I see and what I think. Sometimes when we end relationships, we have unfinished emotional business. And that unfinished emotional business can keep us coming back, trying to close the circle, close the loop.
That
And
sounds
you
like
have
me.
you have unfinished emotional business with him.
Sounds
You'd
just
like
like
to
me.
kick his ass. You would like to, you would like to hold him accountable. You would
Hold him
like for
accountable,
him.
yeah, I don't want to.
You would like to
That's all.
inflict pain upon him.
Honestly, yeah. That's,
Yeah, I
gotta be honest.
I've picked up on that. Yeah, I've kind
It's honest. I'm owning my feelings.
Yeah. And you two have called each other less than ladies, and that's unbecoming to you both.
Yes, I agree.
And you need to stop that. And if you have unfinished emotional business, you need to work that out on your own.
Okay.
If you have unfinished emotional business, you need to work that on your own. You say you feel a duty to warn her.
I just did.
Are you warned?
I'm totally warned.
If he begins to act in ways that she has described, you will be hypersensitive to that and go, hey, whoa, wait a minute. This might be an early warning sign. You've been warned.
Yes, it's been warned.
So you've fulfilled your womanly duty to have warned a fellow woman that she might be with a predator.
Right.
Okay, so you've done that, so you should feel good about that.
I do.
And even though you may not think that she has the best motives, you have at least been warned. So tuck that away, put it in your back pocket, and there you go. You think there is some stuff that might be in that storage building?
Oh, I know there is.
You've agreed that she can go in there and get stuff that is hers if it's in there. So you can do that. Happy about that?
Yes, sir.
Don't call them. Don't get in touch with them. Don't follow them. Block
After
them
I get
from
my stuff, I won't have to.
block them from all of your social media.
Already
Throw
done.
away their phone numbers. Change your phone numbers. Get new phone numbers. Block her from everything. Don't have any contact. It's easy to don't do something.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't take any information. And the next time you do something, you will continue this interaction with the conscious acknowledgement that you are the one that's keeping this alive. So if you go all that stuff next time, then no, you're making a conscious decision to keep this alive, so do not accuse her of being a stalker. If you decide to keep this alive by going and finding some reason to pick and nag or do this, that, and the other, then you're stalking them. Leave the people to hell alone. Leave her to hell alone. Leave each other alone. Okay, well, after that, we're going to switch gears here and talk about something not quite so heavy, because next, you're going to meet what I call that guy. And what I'm talking about is one of those people that you all have them in your life. They show up at your house and you're not sure they're going to leave. And I'm talking about someone very special in my life because I know them all too well. He is a good friend of mine. He's a tennis friend of mine. He's at my house 3 or 4 days a week. I am afraid he's not going to leave every time he comes. He also happens to be a hilarious comedian. I'm talking about Kirk Fox. And he says he has something special he wants to tell me. We'll find out what it is when we come back. You know, people often ask me a lot, really, Dr. Phil, who do you hang out with? Tell us about some of your friends, if you have any. Well, yes, I do have friends, actually. And if you're like me, I'll bet you have a friend that is just, well, they're just weird. They're just odd. I mean, you look at them and your friends look at them and say, there's just something not right about that guy. I mean, and that guy in my life is somebody that, like, homeless people offer him clothes. Well, one of those friends is here today, and trust me, he is that guy, Kirk Fox. Now, Kirk even has a comedy special called Kirk Fox, That Guy. It's airing tonight on Showtime, and trust me, it will have you laughing out loud. Take a look at this clip.
I realized I'm that guy. I remember when I was in my 20s, I'd see that guy in his 40s alone at the bar or at the corner of the club, and I'd be like, what is this guy doing here? Well, now I can tell you. He's looking at your girlfriend, wondering if she needs her rent paid.
Well, in addition to doing stand-up, Kirk has appeared in several films, including The Postman and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, as well as TV shows The Mick and Parks and Recreation, just to name a few. Kirk says he probably got his comedy chops from his dad, Ben. Take a look.
I was driving, and there was a beautiful girl in a white Maserati, just wanted into traffic. She just wanted in, and no one was letting her in. So I stopped, and I let her in, and she waved and smiled and pulled out, and I was like, oh, it's on.
My 1-hour comedy special is called That Guy. I point out things that you might not be thinking about, and then you realize he's right. I didn't grow up wanting to be a comedian. My dad was funny. I come from funny. The first time I was on stage, November 10th, 2002, at the Comedy Store. 3 minutes, and they did not laugh for 2 minutes, 55 seconds. I loved it. Gave me something to do at night.
Mr. Kirk Fox!
Dr. Phil and I met on a tennis court. He's hilarious. He's an executive producer on this comedy special. What's great is most of the jokes on the special I had practiced on the tennis court.
Saw a beautiful girl hitchhiking. That's nice. Nice to see women out there trying to connect again. They should just rename Hitchhiking Kill Me.
Dr. Phil laughs at my jokes occasionally, and then I know it's a special joke.
I'm not going to say I live in fear. Definitely have a vacation home there.
I'd like to be the same guy off stage that I am on.
I'm basically a palm tree with just better hair.
The special is just, it's real. I feel comfortable on stage. Comedy, I'm built for it.
That's it. Nailed it.
All right, please welcome my dear friend, Kirk Fox.
Good to see you, Dr. Phil.
Let me just take it in for a minute, Dr. Phil.
Yeah, soak it up.
I just can't dive right in.
Yeah, so you clean up pretty good, actually.
Well, it took a lot of work. I was backstage. It was like a car wash. They just kept moving me from station to station.
Yeah, no kidding.
They reached for the sideburns, and I said, don't.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil, I got to tell you, I'm not comfortable right now. This suit, I don't like looking this good.
I know. I told him that homeless people were giving you clothes, and then you come out here in a suit and make a liar out of me.
I know. I look like a homeless guy who found a suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a little cramped. I prefer denim.
Yeah, you do.
I like to know that if I fall asleep in an alley, I'll be okay.
Yeah. He shows up for tennis. We play tennis a lot, and I swear he looks like a homeless guy with a tennis racket. He's actually a very good tennis player. He played in college. He actually played on the pro tour. You came to Hollywood and taught tennis, right?
I was a tennis pro. That is what I did.
Yeah.
Every movie I've been in, the director was a student.
Oh, really?
I think they just wanted me on the set so that we could play tennis at the end of the day.
Did it work?
Well,
Could some of them play?
they could all play.
Yeah.
I did a lot of movies, so I was teaching a lot of tennis.
Yeah, apparently so. So tell me about That Guy. Why did you choose That Guy?
I think that guy chose me. It's just who I am. The guy who forgot to grow up. I often say I had a wonderful childhood, and I know this because I'm still living it.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to take a break. You're going to find out how Kirk's life changed forever after a trip to the grocery store on Valentine's Day. This is a good story.
I realize I fit the FBI profile for a serial killer to a T. White male. That's it. That's it.
That Guy, 10 p.m. tonight on Showtime. Watch it.
Well, I'm talking with my good friend Kirk Fox about his life and his Showtime comedy special airing tonight at 10/9 Central.
On Showtime, Dr. Phil.
On Showtime. I was going to say that. I just wanted you to correct me.
Well, I don't know how much time I have out here, so I like to keep it going.
Okay, so you've been that guy for a long time, but something happened. You have a woman in your life.
There is a woman.
Where'd you meet her?
In my life. I met her at Bristol Farms on Sunset and Fairfax.
Yeah?
One morning about 10:30. I waited for her in the parking lot like most predators do. And when she came out, I asked if she had a Valentine, and she did not. So I went back in the store and I bought a dozen roses, which I don't usually like to buy anything. And I gave her the roses, and we eventually got married.
Yeah. Now, this isn't your first marriage, though. You talk about your first marriage in your Showtime special, so let's get that one out of the way, and then we'll talk about this one.
All right.
I don't know how to make a marriage last. I can tell you how to make one fail. Marry someone because their father is your favorite actor. At some point, believe me, you're just waking up with her.
So, what is that all about?
Well, I married Clint Eastwood's daughter, Allison. I remember the last thing he said to me. He called me a son of a bitch. And I was so excited that he had called me son.
Yeah. That worked out well for you?
I was the first husband to try and take my wife's last name.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work that way. So now you're married after telling me you would never do that. So you're going to be a stay-at-home dad, right?
I will be having a daughter in May. So payback.
Okay. So have you picked a name?
Her name will be Addison Bristol Fox. Bristol Farms, because that's where I met the mother.
Okay, so you named her after the grocery store?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will be a stay-at-home pop. I've been training for it my whole life.
So are you prepared for this?
I've been reading up on it, and I've been practicing changing diapers on, I have 2 puppies. So that's Ken and Karma. And we adopted them from Mexico. They're, before the wall went up, we got them out. And the great thing is we got the dogs, these 2 puppies, and then the next day, Jaren told me she was pregnant. So I'll be doing a lot of walking.
Yeah. So you say Jaren won't pick up dog poop. So
I think I'll be in charge of the diapers because of that.
Yeah.
It's just something she doesn't do. I mean, when she walks the dogs and I'm not there, she'll send me photos of the dog poop and the house it's in front of. And sometimes I can't find the house. So I'll walk around showing pictures of the dog poop to neighbors. And I say, have you seen this? And eventually, I always get close enough. And I find it, and I pick it up. I'm good at it.
Yeah? I'm seeing you later today?
I would think I'll be there at 4. I'm hungry.
Yeah, well, yeah. Let me tell you, he plays tennis, eats us out of house and home every time he comes over.
I'm no dummy.
All right. I want to thank all of my guests today, especially my good friend Kirk Fox. Be sure to tune in tonight at 10/9 Central for Kirk Fox, That Guy, on Showtime. We'll see you next time. I'll see you, man.
party out. You warned me 1,000 times, memories can kill ya, but I didn't hear ya. I thought that I could fly, but woke up on the asphalt. I swear there was the last time. I've always been naive, call it